Hey guys, and welcome to LITTLEBLACKBOOK91. We are here sitting down with Alexia from Put a Ring on It season 2. It's been quite the season. It's got so far as even the shade room. So we know they've been doing numbers. And it's because there's been such, I guess, we could some might call it a love triangle. Some might say, someone was trifling. Some might say people were on assignment. Whatever you want to call it, it's been one of those seasons that has had crazy moments in. And we have one of those people that was involved in the melee and the crazy season, and that's Alexia. How you doing, Alexia?
Hey, what's up?
It's good to have you on board. Good to have you on board. How are you feeling today?
I'm good, actually. I'm having a great day.
We like to see that. You got the wine there as well, which is good. It's always good to have a bit of wine.
I'm a wine connoisseur, so I like wines.
What wine are we sipping on today?
Not the one they was talking about me.
Just gotta make
I
sure,
ain't
it
fooling with
might be
y'all
one
with
of the.
that.
Okay,
Yeah, I
cool,
love red
cool.
wine though. I like red wine.
You like red wine? Okay. I mean, I'm not a wine person myself, but like, is it like a 1960s Chardonnay or something? I don't know. Is that even a thing? I don't know. Is that a drink?
Just go to Public shouting. Go get you a wine.
Oh, okay, cool. Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, I'm
All right.
actually drinking. My friend Tony Delp. Tony Delp used to play in the league. He has his own winery, so I'm
Oh,
drinking his
wow.
wine. Yeah,
Okay. Did he squash at his
yeah,
own feet and stuff then?
yeah. Whatever. What's up?
I
You crazy?
appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right, cool. Well, Lex, we like to do some human verification whilst we're here. To get to know that, make sure you're not, a robot or hologram sitting right in front of us. You know what I'm saying? Something that only you will be able to answer. You know what I'm saying? So I got a few questions for you. Is that all right? Fantastic. Pucker pie, chips, and gravy. All right, let's get it going. Okay, first question I got for you. First question I got for you, all right, is song lyrics, okay? The song lyrics go, but don't make me close one more door. I don't want to hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you dare, or must I imagine you there? Who is the
Whitney Houston,
artist and song?
boy, stop playing.
Okay,
Yeah.
my sister's on a radio roll. Okay, you got that one. All right, cool. Do you know the
Man, if you
song?
don't stop playing with me, come on, man.
Do you know the
What's the
song? Do you
next
remember the
one?
song?
What's the next
Huh?
question?
Yeah, but do you know the song though?
I don't even know.
I see. It's Whitney. Well, you didn't know what the song. Yeah. For no worries. You got Whitney correct. We'll go with that. We'll go with that. Okay, got a riddle
I don't
now.
know the song.
The riddle goes: if 11 plus 2 equals 1, what does 9 plus 5 equal?
If
I'll say it
11 plus
again.
2.
Yeah, if
What?
11 plus 2 equals 1, what does 9 plus 5 equal?
Man, these folks gonna think I'm retarded.
Trust me, they don't, because they
Man,
won't know either.
what's the answer, man? I don't know.
You sure you don't want to try? I'm trying. I'm put on the screen for you. If
Uh,
11 plus 2 equals 1, what does 9 plus 5 equal?
if 11 plus 2 equals what does 9 plus 5 equals? 4.
Unfortunately, no. It's actually 2.
I mean, it's a bunch of ways you can look at that.
I know. That's why it's a riddle. That's why it's a riddle.
Man, I ain't got time for that.
The answer is actually
Time
2.
for that.
The answer is
Okay.
2 because it's the hands on the clock, isn't it? So 9
Oh,
plus.
okay.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah. So yeah,
European. I got you.
yeah. Cool. All
You went deep
right,
with me
final.
on that one.
Don't worry, you good. You're good. I usually get people those things. And the last one question we've got obviously is, do you put the cereal in or do you put the milk in first?
Me personally, I put the cereal in first.
Why'd you do that?
Huh?
Why'd you do that?
I put the cereal in the bowl first, and then I put the milk in.
Why do you do that? You should be putting the milk in first
Why?
because you need to set the level correctly with the milk first, and then as you
No,
pour the cereal in, you should hear the. That's important.
no. I put the cereal in first, but that's just me.
You sip that wine. Okay. That's cool.
What's
You
up?
passed the
Talk to
human
me.
verification, so you're good. We like that.
Yeah.
You've passed the human verification. All right, cool. Let's get a little bit underway. The show will get onto that. So if you're here in the audience, listen, I know you here for the tea or whatever. Listen, we like to do things proper here. Okay, we want to get to know Alexia a little bit more. Okay, we're loving the yellow that you're wearing, loving the hair that you got on today as well. You're looking very pretty today. You understand?
Thank you.
All right. No worries. The truth is free. So, Alexia, we want to know, who is Alexia and what is Alexia's story?
I say it like this all the time. My name's Alexia Adams, 34 years old. I'm a Libra, September 28th, 1986. Went to Albany State, the unsinkable Albany State University. I went to Gardner Webb first, transferred to Albany State, played basketball and ran track. After that, 2010, I graduated, went overseas for 6 years, retired 4 years ago. And I'm a businesswoman. I'm an entrepreneur. I work in sales. I also work for the Atlanta Hawks. I have my own detox juice. I got a lot going for myself. So I'm very family oriented. I have two sisters. One's 30, one's 31. I have an older brother who's 35. Big family, Adams family.
Okay. Oh, where do you place in the family? Are you like top?
The second oldest.
Second oldest.
Yep.
Wait, who's the oldest? Brother or sister?
My brother is the oldest, so
okay.
Clearly, growing up, I was following him a lot, tag team and tag along with him, hanging out with him. I kind of got into sports that way. My two baby sisters don't play sports. Me and my brother were like this. As we got older, clearly, he stopped playing. I kept going. Kind of found myself, I would say, in college as far as being more feminine. People don't have to agree if I'm feminine or not, don't care. But being more feminine, kind of finding myself as I graduated from college, it just got, shorter and shorter with the women that were still playing. So I tended to always gravitate towards the guys because when it was time for me to train, most of my friends weren't playing anymore. So I would train with the guys. I would be around them. I would listen to the stories, just moving in the daily round of how they live their life, how I live my life, and just having my talks with them. So that's Alexia. Yeah.
I love that. So you're closer to your bigger brother then,
Out of all my siblings.
Out of all your siblings. Was it one of those relationships? Obviously, I'm an older brother myself. Was it one of those ones where, your older brother is trying to, we sometimes be like our little sister's annoying us like, hey, I'm trying to do my thing.
Well, at first, when we were real little, it was. But then, like, when we got into sports, I started being better than a lot of the guys. So he would hey, we're going, he would take me with him. It wasn't no more tagging along. So we got real close. But out of all my family members, I'm the closest to my father. Like me and my dad are like yin and yang. So
fantastic. Okay.
Yep.
So wait, and how many is it? 4 of you? You said? Is it 4 of you?
It's 4 of us. Yep.
Fantastic. Oh, are you the only girl, or you got? There's another.
Two sisters.
Two sisters. Oh, okay. Is there a big gap between you then?
One is 30, one's 31. Or she's about to be 31. She's 30 now. The other one's 29 going 30. And then I'm 34. My brother is 35.
Wow, actually, so there's like a
And he just turned 36 actually. So I keep up the ages. I'll be 35 in September.
That's okay. So it's like almost like a 5-year gap between all of you. There's not much from the top to the bottom. 30 to 35, right? How much old your brother?
My brother, he just turned 36 this past month.
Okay.
I will be 35 in September 28th.
And the youngest
So we're
one?
like 1 year apart. And then the other one is 29 going on 30. And the other one's 30 going on 31 in November.
Okay. So like almost 7 years is what the top from top to bottom. 6-7 years. It's not a lot of space between the top to the bottom. Was any was there a lot of fightings and stuff? Because obviously, when you're siblings, you gotta, everyone's got to fight for the position.
It was a lot of fighting. No, I'm joking. It wasn't fighting like that.
Did you
Me
win,
and my
though?
brother were just competitive. No, it wasn't fighting like that. We were just competitive. But the two sisters, they didn't play sports. They're into their school books and stuff. So.
Okay, so it's more
academic.
like yourself.
They were into that.
Okay, so yourself and your older
we
brother.
kind of paired up, and then them two kind of paired up.
Oh, okay.
Growing up, yeah.
Okay.
Me and my brother were with my dad all the time. My two sisters were with my mom all the time.
I love that. Okay, cool. I love that, man. So you and your older brother were kind of close ones because you guys went to the sports and stuff. Okay, was there? I know you played basketball. Was that your main sport when you were younger, or was there another one?
I was better in track actually. I had bigger offers for track. Clemson, Georgia. I was way better in track, but my heart was in basketball. I actually took a full track scholarship to Gardner Webb because I was going to do both, but I didn't like the school. Transferred to Albany State, which was Division 2, but I went Division 2, so I didn't have to sit out. And then that's how I got in Albany. So that's how it went. Yep.
Sick.
And I played volleyball too, but I just played a lot of sports. I was
Okay.
way better in track though. Yeah.
So what made you then settle completely then on b-ball?
That's just where my passion always was. Yep. It was
Okay.
kind of instilled in me from my father, and my mom played ball, so
Oh,
it
your mum
just
played
was
ball as
kind
well.
of
Your mum played ball as
yep,
well.
yep.
That's
All my family,
wavy.
my uncles, my grandpa before he passed, clearly, my whole family was in sports.
That's so wavy. So your whole family's like into this basketball thing, and it's like so okay. So that's so it's basically you're gonna be. It's almost like when fate kind of chooses you to go down that lane. Do you know what I mean? You were always going to be
Right,
destined for b-ball. Okay.
right.
So
Hmm.
talk to us a little bit about your career then, because I genuinely don't know much about the career aspect of being in basketball. So how did that go? How was your career in basketball? How did you find it?
Okay, so long story short, I was born in Jacksonville, Florida. I moved up to Georgia when I was 7. My dad started training me. I mean, I hated basketball at first when I was 7, and then my second year, I was just really good. And when I say good, I mean I was CCJBC, which is a middle school MVP, and I'm only 5'4". So people that don't know me when they watch television, they probably think I'm tall, but I'm really short. So just growing up, I've always personally had an underdog mentality because I never went to a big school. Even though I went Division 1 the first time, I never went to a big school. I always had to, compete for my position. Um, I was going into high school. It was 4 of us that made varsity as freshmen. I was the shortest. I was still playing a lot of minutes. Went to college. Went to Division 1. Didn't really like it. Went Division 2. They felt like I was better than them because I came from Division 1 and had to compete. I mean, my whole life I've been competing. So the way I move kind of like with the. I guess people would say like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I move a certain way.
Mm,
Sports has instilled to me as far as being a leader. I was a point guard and a shooting guard. I was always the person that had to either distribute the ball or make the decision. So it was just kind of like I'm kind of aggressive. I know that about myself, but me being aggressive is how I got to where I was. I mean, there's a lot of
yeah.
people, like I said, to stop playing, for me to go overseas and play 6 years and to retire by choice. A lot of people can't say that. So I have a great relationship with most of my team. If I wanted to go back, I could. So even at my age now. So
Love that. Love that.
yeah.
What would you say is your proudest moment? In your basketball career for you?
The first person in my family, to my immediate family, to actually just go to college. The first one in my family to go overseas. The first one at Albany State University to ever go overseas. The Americans, they only take 3 or 4 on the team. So to be 5'4", short, stocky or whatever, to make it overseas, that was a big deal. So I mean, I would say my accomplishment was actually making the Atlanta Dream practice team, which is how I actually got overseas. So that's how it was different back then. So that's how I got overseas.
Wow, love
Yeah,
that, man. Love that. That's
yeah.
well done, man. Because, like I said, that takes dedication. It takes patience as well, and it takes an
Sacrifice.
undue amount of skill, sacrifice. Yeah, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to get to that level, and play to that particular level as well. So well
Hmm.
done, man. I appreciate that,
Thank
man.
you.
It's given me a new insight. Okay, I see you, girl. I see you. I see you.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. Okay, so obviously successful basketball career. But take me a little bit back, like you know where I'm going. So take me a little bit more back because little Alexia, right? Is this always going to be? Was that your dream? I know you ran a better track, so that was part of your thing. But when you were young, like that 5, 6, 7, was that always going to be your dream? Was that your dream?
Basketball was always my dream. It never changed. I think what gave me more inspiration is when Love and Basketball actually came out. Like I kept saying, I want my life to be like this. So I always
You know,
felt like I was going to end up marrying a professional basketball player. And I mean, just to be honest, I had those choices. But as you get older, people have to understand the person I was when I was in 19, 20, or even younger is not the person who I am today. So it's a lot of things
big.
I learned from playing sports. So it showed me, kind of pointed me in direction I want in my life when it comes to financially or anything to go. So
Okay, I hear that. Okay, so young, that is your dream. Okay, share us a little bit in terms of what was childhood like for you, because you're not the only one. You have your older brother, you have two younger sisters underneath you as well. You know, you're quite close in age. What was childhood like for Alexia?
childhood was fun. I mean, everybody always stayed at our house as a family. Actually, where we filmed that for the show, that was the house I grew up in as a kid. I We lived in this house when I was 12. So when I retired from basketball, my mom still had this house. I brought this house from her, and I remodeled this house, and this is my home. I want to always keep it in the family. This is the last house my grandpa lived in before he passed. And even when I decide to buy another house, I'm gonna always have this house and probably rent it out or something like that. But
Mm,
childhood for me was fun. Traveling, playing, getting to do something I love. My dad backing me, supporting me. Was at every game. If he missed the game, it's because either they kicked him out the gym, they wouldn't let him go, or because he had to work. But my family always supports me in everything I do. So I mean, for me, childhood wasn't too bad. I would say we were younger. My family didn't really have a lot at the time. Roles changed. Maybe when I got 11, my mom started making some really good money. Um, my dad was the one supporting us at first. It was always kind of like back and forth, but my family we all do pretty well. So yeah.
okay. So what would you say is one of your fondest memories of childhood?
Just growing up without a care in the world, not having to pay bills, not have to really worry about too much, get my parents to drop me off at the movies. Honestly, I miss those days, man. Movies was always up the street every Friday. All the team, the girls team, the boys team, we all meet up from every school to go to the movies and hang out. I feel like I cherish those moments that I can actually, relive now, because I'm still in touch with a lot of people I dealt with when it comes to friendships, but I just keep my circle tight when it comes to people in my space. So yeah.
I love that. Okay, I love that. And you said obviously you're much kind of closer to your father in a sense, because obviously I guess that you shared a love for basketball, but your mom played basketball as well. So how come you and your
Yeah,
dad are a
I
bit
feel
more
like
closer?
growing up, I feel like I was more closer to my father. I feel like as I became more of an adult, I started to get a real relationship with my mother, simply because of sports. My mom wasn't at all our games because of work. My dad was at our games, and he didn't care. He'd take off or whatever. But my mom, like my mom is like a workaholic. Like she's a worker, and I think I get that from her. Like I get my
Mm.
hustle from my mom. I get my hustle from my grandpa. So my dad, he was just like, he'll cut somebody in a heartbeat and don't care. He was like, you know what, I quit. So I don't know. Me and my dad are just the same. I feel like the second born in our family, we're all the same. I don't know what it is when it comes to height, how we think. I think that's why my dad gets me. So when I have some issues, I talk to him about it. But when I have other types of issues, I talk to my mom about it. So I mean, my parents are together. They're just not married. It's strange, but they don't
Okay.
care to get yeah, they don't care to get married. It's just they've been together. They have 4 kids together. They happy. So if that was make them happy, I'm happy for them.
Okay. I mean, obviously, if they weren't married, I mean, where did you get your inspiration to be married then? Because I know you was on the show, you wanted to be married and everything. So,
I
what was the
didn't
kind of
start
inspiration behind that?
right. I didn't start wanting to be married or even talking about marriage until I was retired. So I would say 2 years ago. Just being honest, keeping it a buck with you. I had no intentions of wanting to be married. I saw how some of my friends, not all, were moving. When we were overseas, like they would have situations and they were still doing stuff, and I just, for me, it took the marriage. I didn't look at it the same as anyone else. It's not too many people that can say they went overseas, in their mid 20s, traveling the world, going wherever they wanted, and not have to pay for a dime. So to see a lot of things, to see how Europeans were living, it just, I don't know. I done been everywhere. I done been to Mexico, Romania, Germany, Belgium, and I done seen how different types of people live. So I don't know. I just kind of was turned off by it. But as I started getting older, maybe I would say my last 2 years of playing, all my friends, like I told you, the women started really going down when it comes to playing. They was pregnant, having kids, like, oh, I don't want to play no more, or getting married, and that's when I even maybe hinted at it, thought about it, but really it wasn't a conversation until maybe 2 years ago.
So for you, obviously, when you start seeing the women, obviously, then like you said, kind of now beginning to branch
Mm,
off and do family life. Was that the moment
mm.
that it clicked for you? Because obviously, 2 years ago, before that point, you've been, I'm guessing, and you can correct me, you've been focused on the basketball, you've been focused on your career, enjoying life and stuff like that. What's the spark that happens 2 years beforehand that really pushes that? Because like I said, you've seen it work in your household. Your parents are together, they're not married. So what kind of pushes you towards that kind of angle then 2 years ago?
I feel like, just to be honest, just to keep it a buck with you, plays a factor. Maybe social media.
That's real.
I was having to have conversations with my friends overseas. I couldn't, at one point, this is before technology is how it is now. I couldn't call them like that unless they had T-Mobile. So, it was Facebook. We were FaceTime, stuff like that. I used to have an Android. I went to iPhone just to talk to most of my friends that had iPhone. But everybody, I mean, to keep in touch with them, I would literally have to see it because I was having games. We're 7 hours ahead of my friends that are in America. It's early in the morning there. They're probably asleep. It was just timing. So I would keep up with them by their pictures and stuff, and everybody looked so happy. That's when it kind of first hit. But then also just playing with teammates who, the Europeans who were actually from there, they would still be playing and they got kids, bringing them to the games. I'm like, if you're American, that really don't work out like that. If you're a female, for guys, they would bring their whole family there. But girls, just being honest, like the pay's different. So it wasn't, if I was going to have a child, I had to be done with basketball. So
Okay, okay. I mean, give us a little bit more insight into it, because I think people would love to understand that. Well, I love to understand that a bit more because obviously I'm European, I'm UK based,
right.
and obviously sometimes I think what gets lost in translation is that since we're all black, it's everyone's getting the same experience. But like you just clearly pointed out there, when you were playing it. By the way, where were you playing in Europe, or was it all
I
over?
played I played in Romania 4 years. I played in Belgium, Serbia, and
Whoa.
Mexico. I'm known in Romania, like they know me. I know the language pretty well. I can speak it a little bit. Serbia as well, they know me. If I come back, they know me. They pull out the red
Una.
carpet and everything. Yeah, so I mean, we plan on taking trips there. But long story short, I just feel like um, when it comes to when I say pay, like you have guys. I mean, just think about the women's league right now. Women aren't really making too much. You have some that make 70,000 in WNBA, and then in the NBA they making 1 point something million or whatever
Mm,
minimum. So just to say, when it comes overseas, that's when women really make their money. Women play year round. That's what people don't understand. While the guys are having their NBA career, women are overseas playing professionally.
mm,
Once that's over, women come back over to the States to have their WNBA career in the summer. And then they go right back. So there's really no time. For me, when I was done with my 8, 9 months overseas, I would only come home in the summer. So I was only home for the summer. If I didn't have a break for Christmas or Thanksgiving where they allowed me to go home, and that maybe happened 2 times, the 6 years I played with certain teams, as far as allowed me to go home because we would have games. So that plays a part into my story in general. Like, me and Darian being on and off, I was in a whole different country. I was in 6 different countries for six
mm.
years. So people don't get that. So I can't play detective when people are doing things. So regardless, I'm just saying to say, like, I was overseas. We were on and off. We had, I just want to make sure I get that out there because I get tired of the comments of, people saying he had babies on you. He didn't have any babies on me. The first time we met in college, he's from Albany. I played at Albany State. He already had a daughter. So that child was already here. When I went overseas, we were off and on those 6 years. I just didn't trust him being in America in a rap group, me being overseas, even for myself. Like, I dealt with people when me and him were off. He wasn't the only man I've dated in the last 14 years. So there were times where I felt like, I don't trust the distance. You do your thing, I do my thing. But we were still at least friends. And then when I found out he had, the kids coming, I was just like, it still bothered me, but it happened. But like the last 2 kids, or those 2 kids, were by the same woman. So it's like, who am I to say something? We weren't even together. Then when we tried to get together, it was just always that tension because I'm there, he's here. I would go back over home to visit, come back home and visit, but it's not the same as when you're actually stable here. So call it long distance relationship, call it whatever you want to call it. I just don't like when I see that because you got to remember the show's only an hour. We did film it for maybe a month and a half, 2 months, kind of close to, but you can't fit my whole life or anybody, all the cast's whole life within that hour within allotted time. So
I
it's
agree.
virtually impossible.
Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, to
So
be
I
honest,
just
I
don't
agree with
like
you.
when they call. I just really want that out there. I don't like when they call them break babies because I love his kids regardless. At the end of the day, babies are special. Babies are, I would never say anything about anybody's child or having kids. Those are blessings. So,
No, that's all right. I get that. I get that. I mean,
yeah.
whilst you're obviously overseas, you're doing your tours and everything like that. Like you said, I mean, were you dating whilst you were over there as well, or because obviously I know that we will explain it in a bit, but I'm saying obviously, were you dating over there whilst you're overseas as well? As well?
Yeah, I mean, there were times when we were broken up that, I didn't trust him because he would have concerts and I would just hear too many noises. When it just comes to it was just too many people around. And I, for myself, have friends besides Darian that are rappers, that are singers, that are actors, that are this, that are that. And I didn't trust that. There were times where, he didn't trust that I was overseas, so we stopped. So within those times, yeah, I dealt with other people for sure.
Okay. I hear that. Okay. I mean,
Hmm.
since you've already started going down that road, let's touch a little bit on it because obviously you met Darwin at 19. That's a very it's a very precarious age. We're still forming,
Right.
trying to
Hmm.
grow into the woman or the man that we want to be at that age. You're obviously doing your thing as well. When did you actually start playing basketball then professionally then for you?
2011. So
Okay.
2010, I graduated from Albany. That summer, after I graduated, I moved to Savannah and I played on a semi-pro team. When that was over, and that was like 2 or 3 months. When that was over, I was coming back to Atlanta, and that's when I got the call, from one of my friends that was training in the Atlanta Dream. But I didn't know what I was walking into. He said, "Meet me at Georgia Tech. Grab your shoes." Came. They said, "Hey, put your shoes on, Shine the release." And then I, did really well. That's how I made the practice team. But all that to say, when that happened, that's when I was home for that little bit. I didn't immediately go overseas. I was still trying to prove myself. It was harder coming from a smaller school. So I ended up buying my own plane ticket and whoever else pitched in at the time because I didn't want Darren doing anything for me. Went to Germany. I was in Cologne trying to make some pro team. There's a big thing. It's in I think it's Cologne, Frankfurt. So you fly into
Yeah.
Cologne or
Yeah.
Frankfurt, one of them, and there's this big thing there, a tournament. A lady named Iska runs it. I think she still has it, but it's like over 200 people that are there, and I'm up here just. I was always the underdog. I said, man, I'm about to come out here and do my thing. So went over there, got some footage, used that footage, gave it to the girl on the Atlanta Dream, Angel McCautry. She was seeking it out to people, but by then the girl that I met in Savannah actually sent it to her agent, and that's how I got picked up. They used that footage, but they had the Atlanta Dream stamp on it. So it was like, they called to verify, is she really practicing with y'all? Yes, and that's how I got my first job, which was in 2011.
Okay, so that's almost 10 years ago, which means you'd have been around about 24-ish time. All right, so you'd have been some way into the relationship with you and Darian then at that point. I mean, I guess obviously we're gonna have to try and get a little bit of a timeline to help us, I guess, kind of see the moving pieces. Because obviously you met
I know,
when you
yeah, I
were,
get it.
yeah, you met at 19, right? Let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
You met at
1920, going on
19,
20. Mm-hmm.
1920. What were you doing at the time, and what was he doing at the time? Just kind of, I know roughly what it is, but let's just build up
Yeah,
that story a little bit.
you're right. Let me go ahead and tell you. So, I was playing basketball at Albany State University. It was my first year, but it was my second year in college. Don't get me in trouble, Mr. Gilbert. I'm sorry, but I was working as a waitress. I wasn't old enough, but at the time, so they let me work there. I was always a hustler. Like I said, I was working at Hip Hop Fishing's Chicken in Albany. I was working at Steak and Shake, and I was working at as a waitress, and I was
Three
playing
jobs.
basketball. Hold on, and I was playing basketball. Watch this, and I was running track, and I was on scholarship. I just wanted to make a lot of money. But when I was making so much money as a waitress and bartender at Albany, I quit the other two jobs because I moved off campus. My coach was really just trying not, he was trying to play with my money. Like, look, when you live off campus, I don't need to be paying for this. So I was like, okay, don't worry about it. If you play with my money, then we gonna have a problem. So my dad always put work into me, but I was doing that. I was working as a waitress and a bartender one night. And this is back when I want to say Light Poles and Pine Trees when that album came out. He came into the club. He was staring at me, so I was like, "Who is this man?" Because when you think of Field Mob, you think of Field Mob. You don't really think of a face.
Well, but yeah.
But it was something that looked like he looked. Who is this? Why I feel like I know him. So one of the waitresses came up to me and was like, "You know who that is?" And I was like, "No," but he looked familiar. And then she told me, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But he walked straight up to me, said a couple of things. Next thing you know, that's how we met. Making out, my boss made me clock out at the time because he's like, "This too much, doing too much," and we just been back and forth ever since. So, but I was a child at the time, I was a kid.
Okay. So at the time,
Yeah.
you kind of knew who when you saw him, you kind of felt like you knew who it was. I'm guessing, obviously, then after a little bit of time, you knew where he was from. Field Mob. He's a rapper. You're obviously going into your basketball.
Mhm. And he
Did this
would
really?
come to
Did
the
it?
games. I'm just gonna be
Okay.
real with you. Like,
Yeah, yeah, go for it,
we were
please.
talking, he would come to the practices, came to a few games, and think about it. Like, I'm 19, 20 years old. Like, I'm like, wow, he's really coming to my games, supporting me.
Mm,
You know what I mean? And everyone knew about it. So, like, just to be honest, like, it's two members in Field Mob. It's him and Sean J. We all know each
mm,
other. Sean J knows. So when I see little comments like, are they even together? Do they even, I mean, that, I'd be like, okay, people gonna say what they want to say, and that's fine. But I feel like that's who I knew back then. Of course, I felt like there was stuff, just because he was a little older than me. So we were never, at the time when we first met, just boyfriend and girlfriend. That came later, maybe a year later or something like that.
okay.
But we were kind of exclusive or whatever. But it was just on and off. And I didn't trust the road trip. We would warm up to Field Mob. So I'm in there, warming up to my dude's music, getting hyped for games. So it is what it is. But I like to make it a point, like, regardless, at the end of the day, if you from Atlanta, if you from Georgia, people know who they are. It's not no, like, who is this? People looking, making jokes. I get it. It's funny sometimes, but that is how we met. That's the truth of how we met. Go to Albany, they gonna tell you about Alexia, or they'll tell you about him, like, or they'll tell you about Sean J, or they'll tell you about Ricardo Lockett, or if you come from Albany, it's like they pretty much claim me like I'm theirs. Like, she from Albany, you know what I mean? So it's like, if you from Albany, it's just, I don't know,
It is what it
it's a
is.
standout thing. Yeah,
So fantastic. You've kind of given us a bit more foundation. We can kind of get a bit more
yeah,
understanding. So 19, he comes to your games. I know he's slightly older. It is what it is. Listen, we've all been young. So,
it is what it is.
and and then okay. So then you said obviously you didn't kind of make it. I'm guessing you didn't become official into like a year later. So were
No,
you
I say
guys?
that because
Oh,
we tried to be boyfriend and girlfriend. Something didn't sit right with me because the girls at the job was telling me stuff, and I worked at a club. So I was like, man, F this. So then we just kept dating. Um, then we put a title on it again. It was just a lot of back and forth
mm,
for a long time. But the difference is, and that's why I get passionate when I do speak about it, I was 19, 20 years old.
mm,
The person I was then is not even the person who I was when I found
no.
myself after I graduated, after I went overseas and dealt with different people, after I, was understanding who I was as a person, after I'm a businesswoman now. Like, that's what it is.
Okay, no, I get that. I get that. So, how that first stint? How long before you guys are on a break again? Then, so we can understand a bit more. So that first stint that you guys get together, the first time you get together, and
Mm.
you're making it official, etc., etc. How long before you guys go on a break again?
When I was in college, we talking about when I was in college.
Yeah, I mean the first, because obviously the first time you ever met, and then you guys start kind of dating or being exclusive, and then you become official. After you become
So put it this
official,
way. Put it this
yeah,
way. In those 4 years in Albany,
yeah.
it was like a roller coaster. It was off and on, but we would always circle back around to each other. So I can't really tell you because like, some people wouldn't even talk to me because of him. Oh, I ain't dealing
Mm,
with you because that's Smoke's girl. Stuff like that. And I remember there was one time, maybe when I was a junior, we weren't even talking at all. Um, we would communicate here and there by text. I think that's when he was on the road a little bit. It wasn't the same. And then my senior year, we were talking again. Then when I moved, we were always in communication. We would break up. Now I can't remember half of that crap, but we would break up, get back together, break up, get back together. I think we didn't really put take it serious until I retired because it was all the conversations that was having. I was already on my last leg when I got tired of switching teams. I got tired of the money being late. I got tired of all. It was a lot of factors. It wasn't just because of Darian that I retired. It was whoever I was going to be with or whoever I was dealing with. That's what the case was. It played a role, but it was not the deciding factor. So I want to make
Mm.
that clear because people was like, "Oh, I'm sorry you retired." No, it just played a role.
So, so obviously, just again, so we can get a bit more understanding again, because you're providing some really good answers, so we're getting a better picture.
Mm.
So obviously, when you guys you're saying on and off, and people are telling you certain things, those things obviously I'm guessing are
When we were on,
cause, when you were on, people are telling you certain things, or the girls are saying certain things sometimes, or some people won't deal with you sometimes. What are the kind of things they were kind of saying? You don't have to be very, very specific. We're just saying in terms of the general. What were they kind of saying?
it would say stuff like, "I heard he's messing with one of the passionettes, which are the dancers that dance at our games."
Okay.
I never had solid proof. Nobody would ever give me a name. They just would always say they heard. So then I was like, I'm not dealing with this shit. And then I said, you do your thing, I do mine. We just kind of still was in communication. So, but it would be stuff like that. Or when he would be gone on the road, the girls would be giggling, kiki, and then, you know, it is just what it is. And just back then, waitressing is competitive. In Albany, we had big names. Well, they were big names to us, but Alexander Johnson at the time played in the NBA. Jermaine Jones would come in town, played in the NBA. Demetrius Bennett was in and off overseas. They made good money, so when they would come in, they were my friends. You know, they were hoopers. They supported me, so they would tip me graciously. You know, so it was just like situations like that. Like, why are you dealing with him? You know, these people probably like you, but they were always just looking out. They were friends, and at the end of the day, I'm just saying all this to say, like, Albany is like a cul-de-sac. We call it a big cul-de-sac because it's like a big high school. Everybody know your business. So if he was on the road and they was like, "Oh, I heard this," or "I heard this," it really bothered me, and I was younger at the time, so I just be like, "I ain't dealing with this." And there was a time where he did break up with me back in college because he thought that I was talking to one of the guys that would, you know, tip me pretty well. So
Okay, so if and obviously if you guys are, I'm guessing you guys are on and off quite a bit. Like during sometimes you're on and off quite a bit.
but I don't
Did it?
even count that. Like,
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? Like, when we really started to take each other seriously was when I was overseas.
Okay.
So it was for me. I always say this, and I want people to understand. Like, I would always play in the back of my head, like, what if I just really committed to this situation? What if I took it serious? So that played a part, but wasn't the reason of why I retired. So it wasn't till I came back home 4 years ago when we kind of just like, look, let's figure this shit out. So that's where everything comes into play.
Okay. I get what you're saying.
And
So
it was rocky too. So
okay, so what was the longest time of period that you guys were together for?
I mean, I would just really have to say, I keep saying on and off 14 because it was just on and off 14. If we're gonna just go by from when I even came home over the last 4 years, but I mean, we were broken up within those times. We were broken up. I'll tell you something probably a lot of people don't know. Even as far as last year, I felt like he was doing something. I told him to get the fuck out the house. Excuse my language.
What's up?
He went to the condo. We were broken up for a good little stint. I was dealing with somebody completely different. And when somebody else was telling me about how they felt about marriage, they wanted to marry me. They wanted to do this. That's when, I tried to, I guess you could see, leave him at the time. I was like, I'm tired of this, tired of figuring this out. because a man that I just met once talking about kids and marriage with me, and he's, you know, well known. So it's just kind of like I started moving my marbles that way. And then when that didn't work out, you know, I said, why not? Then, was trying to get back in the picture and we got back together. So with the
Okay.
different intent, it was an intent of, I'm sorry, I apologize. Not like he did something, but it was more so of me, like, what are we doing? This is a long time. I'm sick of it. If you don't figure this shit out now, I just want to, I want to go be with someone that makes me happy and that wants to marry me. And it's never to say, and I think that wasn't clear on the show as well, that he didn't want to marry me. He always said, I want to marry her, but I want to do it when I want to do it. So for me, that was an issue because me personally, I'm 34. I think that wasn't understood as well. Darian is the one that wants the kids. I'm the one that wants the marriage before the kids. Now, when I say you have 2 years, I'm meaning you have 2 years if you really want kids, because after 36, I don't want none, just to be honest. I don't want to be 50-year-old going to my high school, my child's games. So that's where the confusion, is confusing on the show sometimes. I want the marriage first. He just wants to have kids first and keep saying, oh, I'm going to marry it. But I don't play that. So that's just what it was.
Okay. And so obviously we heard you on the show quite a bit, say 14 years. If you guys were on and off quite a bit, why do you count it as 14 years?
Go back and watch the show. I said from day one, we've been on and off for 14 years. I say it on the very first group session because you can make up your own math how you want to do it, but we have been dealing with each other on and off for 14 years, period.
Okay. Before the show, obviously, I know Dr. Nicole was talking sense and everything like that. Did you look back at and see, okay, 14 years we've been together, but we've been on and off 14 years. It's probably not. I mean, did you see a problem with it? That's what I should say. At the time before you went on the show, did you see a problem, if there is one, at the relationship and how the relationship has been formed? Because you're on and off quite a bit in the last 14 years. Did you see a problem before you went on the show? In all honesty.
Yes. But I still want you to understand those 14 years because I'm tired of saying it. Like, it was choices on both ends. I was literally living my career, my life overseas for 6, regardless if we were on and off. I was in a whole different country. So let's just make that understood. Before the show was even brought to me, because it wasn't brought to Darian, it was brought to me. Somebody reached out to me about, this show. And I thought about it. I even screenshot it, sent it to Darian, and he has his way of saying, let's do it. He was like, you want to do it, but that's his way of saying, let's do it. So I said, okay. So then I, responded back to the person that reached out to me on Instagram, and it was gone from there. But before that ever happened, yes, there were certain things that, the big issue for me at the time, All-Star Weekend happened before the show.
Okay.
At the time, All-Star Weekend was here in Atlanta, and if you watched YouTube, you watched how that played out. Like, came back the next day, and it wasn't even really the next day. I was at the condo. We were supposed to be at the condo. I had to coach a celebrity basketball game. He had a performance, and he kept rushing me to get back to the condo. I'm thinking, like, okay, after I eat dinner, I go to the condo, had rose, everything set up, and he didn't even come back. And then I'm up here blowing his phone up. He texted me that night, called me and was like, hey, I'm on the way. He kept saying that, and I fell asleep in the room. When I woke up, it was 4 a.m, and he still wasn't back. So that morning when I got up, showered, got dressed, and I went to go meet my friends, he texts me. It was like at 11, but when I would text him, I'm not a texter. He texts me, I text him back. I called him, he didn't pick up. He didn't call me back till 2:00 the next day. So I was already gone from the condo. I said, F this. I came back to the house. We wanted to celebrate, just be with each other that night because that's a big weekend. The condo is in the city where my house is away from the city. And, that was supposed to be a special thing that was set up, but he never showed up. So before the show was even brought up, that was an issue. There were other issues. When he, that's all talked about on the show. He kept talking about he's going in the studio, he's in the studio, in the studio. And for somebody who worked 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, if you telling me you in the studio, I'm gonna believe it, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna believe it. Because there are times where I go with him to the studio, and I'm not even talking about the studio that's in the condo. There's other studios that he goes to. I'll go with him, and sometimes we up to 5, 6 in the morning, and then I would go straight from work, and I got to be to work at 8, and I'm tired. So when he would say I got to go to the studio, I'm like, oh, have a great time. See you. Like, I'm tired. So I'm not trying to defend him, but I'm saying, like, that's really what happens sometimes now. Do I think, after what happened to me on the show, that's what happened every time? No, I absolutely don't think that. So, but at the end of the day, I think that people need to understand where I come from. I got too much business to be worried about what another person is doing. I'm not about to be playing detective all night to make sure you're doing what you say. I've never really had anybody approach me. I might have received a DM or two or here or there throughout the years, but sometimes, not trying to take up for him, it would be cap. It'd be a girl reaching out, trying her best to get a picture or to get a number, because I didn't seen it for myself. He'll even show me his phone. But it's not to say that's happened every time. Me, I give people the benefit of the doubt. And I only did that because you showed me something, I'm going to believe you. So it is what it is, but
So
it is what it
obviously you said something which is really interesting. You said obviously that, even in the early stages, you were getting kind of hints almost or feelings, right? If I remember correctly.
No, it's different. It's different. It's different when you listen, it's different when you're dealing with someone who people really know. Because I've seen women throw themselves at him, and there'll be times we're out together, and some people are bold and don't care, and they walked
But
up to him at the dinner.
did you never feel any? Okay, so in the course of being on and off, did you? Because you made it very clear when you were overseas, you didn't trust him because obviously he's in concerts. You said when you called him at one point in time, you'd hear noises. Not necessarily you heard noises of him doing anything, but you heard noises. I'm guessing you're talking about metaphorically. So
Noises like they're in a club or they're in a party, like, or you
okay,
can hear a bunch of people. Like, it was just too much, and it'd be late, be like 2 in the
so,
morning. So it'd be like 7 or 8 a.m. our time, 9 a.m., and it'd be late here in the States. I didn't
so
like
what would
that. I'm
make you
like, why
not
you can't
trust?
go home?
Why would so what would not make you trust him? Because I think what I'm struggling to kind of piece together is if you would struggle to trust him in those moments where you're overseas playing, but then when you come back from overseas and you guys actually trying to seriously start a relationship and I'm guessing still hearing one or two things in the wind, it doesn't make you think I need to investigate. I think
No,
that's
you got the
where.
time frame messed up. You
Okay,
got
go
the
on.
time
Sorry,
frame
go on.
messed up.
Yeah.
What I told you is I would hear that stuff when I was overseas.
Okay.
So I was overseas and I didn't trust it primarily because of what I was doing. My teammates, not saying my teammates, but the guys that would play overseas, I saw how they moved. Even
Okay.
the ones that weren't married but had girlfriends. I didn't trust none of it. So it wasn't more so what Darren was doing. It just added on top of the not trusting him. You out late? Oh, what you doing out late? You know what? Forget this. Like, I'm just keeping it real. Like, I really saw how people were moving overseas. And I'm not trying to blast people or anything, but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
made
yeah.
me uncomfortable. So I was just like, at
So
one
this
point,
the mistrust came from your end. Is that what you're saying? You felt
I,
like the mistrust because of what you were seeing. That's where the mistrust was coming from.
yeah, and because of where I was at, just being 100, I was in a different country. So I would see what guys who were in the same country with their actual girls or wives would do. And the minute they go out of town for a little bit, a whole different person would come into play. So just being honest. And, I not no BS, but I have friends that are in the industry and I know how they move, so I didn't put it past him. So that was just comfortability for myself trying to protect myself, I guess you could say.
So when did then that feeling of mistrust leave you then? Because obviously when you get into a relationship, I know he's in the same area you're in at that point in time when you've finished your ball career, but when does that feeling of mistrust leave you? Because it wasn't on his end now.
When I was
Yeah.
completely done with basketball, when I came home. When I
Okay.
was
So when you was
completely done with sports and I said, okay, let's figure this out. And I retired and came home and we moved in together.
okay, and
That's different.
the insecurity that you felt just kind of when you didn't feel
It wasn't like an insecurity because of him. It was an insecurity again because I was in a different country.
the
Now
country?
we're in the same place, same time, and we're grown. We're not kids. We're not the same people. I can assure you he probably was doing some crazy crap when I was 19, 20. We were kids. You know what I'm saying? So we're grown ups. We're adults at this point. I retired when I was 30. I had just hit 30. You get what I'm saying? So now we're home, responsibilities. I mean, at least the way I took it, responsibilities, because I got to make sure I come home and pay my bills. I got to make sure stuff is taken care of. I got to make sure that my family is taken care of. So that's how I roll.
So what did Darian do then to make you feel like you could come back then? Because obviously you've been overseas, you're successful.
Hmm.
You've kind of dated a few people while you're there too as well. So what is Darian? Because at this point, Darian's obviously got one or two kids too. So what's making Alexia? You're a very pretty woman. You're very intelligent. You know what I'm saying? You're
Thank you.
successful. Do you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Right? Melanin popping. What makes you want to come back then and date Darian? Because, like you said, you were a
Because
kid at
that's,
19. You're 30. You're
but,
grown. So,
but of all the people, we were still in contact. We were still dating here and there. And just to be honest, like, I was comfortable. He knew everything about me. I knew everything about him, supposedly, So um, I was comfortable there. And I say comfortable because I'm comfortable with other people too. But we continue to come around this, and we call it a merry-go-round because it was something that always drew me back to him, and vice versa. So why not
that's
try to
fair.
figure it out? Yep.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, cool. So then on the show, obviously you get drafted on the show, and the what were you hoping to achieve? What was your goal, and what was your kind of hope that this show would do? What was it for you?
Honestly, I felt like take this show out of the picture too. This was the year for me to figure out if we were going to actually stay together or just me be done with him because I was already tired of the what are we not saying what we're doing, but just the conversation of me wanting to be married before kids and he's pushing trying to have a kid. And I'm like, I want to be married first. Can you not understand that? Because you already have baby mothers and I don't want to be another baby mother. So for me, I feel like that was like the push. And the blessing is when the show just came up. I just feel like for me, that's what it was. It was we're either going to figure this out, whether it be me and him be together or whether it be me go find my happiness with my partner. So
Okay. So
yeah.
then, whilst on the show, I know you guys got told no boundaries and everything like that. Um, I know you said obviously you didn't think he could ever do this to you. Was there any hint for you, or not even hint? Was there any perhaps feeling that this was not the right relationship? I know it was. I know it was like 50-50. I know you were trying to see if we can go forward, whatever. But when you're on that show, did you not think? Was there a feeling of? Sorry to say, was there a feeling? I want to be very careful with my words. I don't want to get loaded. Was there a feeling of the fact that this is not the right relationship before you found out he had done what he did? Did you ever feel like this is
Mm.
not the right relationship?
Great question. I think I would have to say, let's say before whatever came out. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say I felt like this wasn't the right relationship. I felt like this show made me think a lot, whereas I would sweep a lot of stuff under the rug. And this was a situation where we were in a controlled environment, based where it was supposed to be. We had to be at certain places at certain times together. Typically, like I say, I'm working or he's doing his thing. I don't really try to figure out where he's at. But this show really kind of put a lot of things in perspective because I was around him all the time because we had to be around each other all the time. Filming and this, we had to be at this and doing this, and it was a lot. People were in my house all day, every day, and it was to the point where I would look at him and be like, because he's already a energetic person. That's really who he is. But I'm gonna be honest. I feel like when them cameras cut on, he came a little over the top over that, and that's when I started looking like, what did I just get myself into? And for me, Me personally, maybe no one else, but the show was a nightmare. Every week I was upset. Maybe the closest I had a decent time was when I went on a date with Monty, and I say that because I actually got to play basketball, and talk and not be judged. So every week was a nightmare for me because just how y'all watch it now is when I watch it. I don't know that she was in my truck. I didn't even know that until I saw it on the show. The conversations that we had at home and the conversations we even had in group session. A lot of things cannot be put in that hour time. So there's a lot of things that weren't even shown, but the things that are magnified because they happen. Because with us, I say there's always five sides to a story: my truth, her truth, his truth, the cameras, and the truth. Because you can tell me all day this has happened, just like I'm sure he told her things, just like I'm sure whatever. But them cameras don't lie. So if it wasn't for them cameras, I hate to say it like this, if it wasn't for Dr. Nicole to have that closure meeting, I would have never knew. Maybe eventually, maybe down the line, maybe after we were supposedly married, maybe after a lot of things. But if Dr. Nicole did not set that closure meeting up, I wouldn't have known. Because think about it. Pay attention to the episodes. We were progressing at that time. We just our date. He had said no to her twice. Twice. First time he said no, tried to blame it on me. That's not true. Second time he said no again, and he still got to go have a closure date. I don't get it. Why he got to have a closure date? When it was said about a closure date, that's when I was like, something ain't right. I had this gut feeling that something wasn't right. But it was also a feeling of within that week or two, 2.5 weeks, things started to change for us. Like he was giving me all these compliments, being super nice. Like I was like, what's going on with you? Like I wasn't mad. I was actually happy. Like for all this to happen, it is what it is.
Okay. Now you can look back on the
Hold
relationship.
on. I wanna tell you, I wanna
Oh,
put the battery on battery save because it's low.
okay, cool.
Hold on, okay.
Sorry. You're good.
And I charged it up too. Hold on.
You're good. You're good. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm back. All right, cool.
Cool.
Can you see me?
No.
Uh-oh. Is it because I
No,
put
we
the
can't.
battery on low?
It might be. You might need to get a charge.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me put it back.
Are you on an iPhone?
Yeah, I got a
That's why.
charger.
Guys, this is a lesson to anybody here on iPhone. Get yourself an Android. This is a good advert for Android. Battery life is amazing.
See it now? Oh, I'm back. Okay. I'm just gonna have to take it off
Okay.
this tripod. It's cool. All right. Okay, I'm here.
Very cool.
This phone
Okay.
always dying. Okay.
Oh. Okay. um. Okay. Cool. So when you look back now at the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes you have this kind of when you sometimes look back at things, you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that. Maybe it's a bit
Mm-hmm.
soon, but now looking back at the relationship, can you now see that okay, there were things that were not that I ignored, right? And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
see in a relationship where he was clearly moving mad.
Are we talking about the show or are we talking about just in general?
In general, now, like looking back in your relationship, because obviously now let's because obviously we're
I would
aware
have to
now
say
of
this. No, I
yeah.
would have to say this. Let me answer that for you. It really took for this show for me to figure out what was going on because it's not ideal. I think I take all the comments, not all of them, but I stopped reading. I try to anyway, but I'm still a human being. And for me, this like when people say things like, "Did they just get together for the show or whatever?" What do I get out of being on national television to get embarrassed by him? What do I get out of that? You know what I'm saying? So ain't nobody signed up for no ignorant stuff. The goal was to figure us out and not to be disrespected. Now, at the end of the day, if you want to go mess around, by all means, go do it, but don't do it under my roof. Don't do it while you with me. And for it to come out the way it did, I think that it more so hurt me to the core because anybody that knows me, anybody that was with us when we were filming, anybody that was actually here knows what that day did to me when I had to go meet with Dr. Nicole and do my one-on-one and talk about what happened. I showed up like looking crazy. My hair was out of place. My makeup was all over the place. I was crying the whole time. Like that whole scene took, it was probably 4 hours. I was hurt, but at the end of the day, I get upset and I get frustrated because you don't know me. I get it. Make your comments, make your judgments. It's off of what you see. I totally understand it. But also, I want people to understand that when Darian's on his dates, I don't know what he's doing. I'm not there. So just like y'all are watching it, I'm watching it. Besides the time that, I saw her grab his hand. But them other dates, I don't know nothing about what they talked about, what they did. I only know what he come back and tell me at home, and I only know what he comes and says in group session. Because there were things that weren't shown. There were parts in group session where he was like, she's helping me in Alexia's relationship. If she kind of shows me how to deal with Alexia, like basically like the help. And that was talked about in group session. It just didn't make the edit, and I get it because there's only so much time you have. But I personally am frustrated every week when I watch this. Like, you can talk about me. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like my appearance. You don't have to like how I walk, how I talk, how my mannerisms. You don't have to like none of it. But trust me when I tell you, Darian is not the only person that loved it. It don't stop no man from trying to talk to me. So say what you want, make your judgments, and I'm fine with that. But also understand that I'm not no idiot. I wasn't born yesterday. Why no one gives me applause for not having a kid by him? But you just want to bash the fact that he's playing in her face and all this stuff. I don't know this stuff. So it really, for me, took the show or somebody to record it and send it to me, like hypothetically, if there was no show. Because I never had solid proof. But it's different when you actually have the proof. Now the ball's in your court. What are you going to do? Now you have a choice because you know.
So, earlier on I asked you, and I appreciate you sharing that as well. I agree with you. We want to uplift you. I think most people are not actually, okay, some people might be saying about the show, I'm not really focused on the show as in you not realizing, that's right, you're not realizing on the show. I think what we're saying, because I'm taking your words and maybe you didn't mean it this way. So you said, up until now, you've not had proof, which would suggest the terminology of the way you've just worded it is, up until this point, I never had proof, which means beforehand you had suspicions. You just never had proof. And I think the question I'm asking is not the proof, but the suspicion oftentimes. And if the suspicion has been going on for a long time and you've been hearing things in the wind when you were younger, people say this, people say that. Now, yes, you've seen some people throw themselves at him. He's a rapper, it's going to happen. I think what people are seeing is like, okay, so why didn't this make you start the charge of investigating? And then I think you said as well earlier on, you said, I haven't got time. I'm focused on my career. I'm focused on my business. I'm focused on what I'm doing 8 to 5. But it's like, I think that's where people are missing you.
I never had, no, because I'm not the typical woman that's going to wait for you to put your phone down and go through your phone. I'm not the typical woman that's going to just be all over you and figure out what you're doing. If you tell me, and I have trust in you, that this is what you're doing, that's what I choose, that's what I'm going to believe until you give me a reason not to. And when I say not to, I've never had anyone approach me. I've never had someone just say, hey, I'm dealing, I ain't gonna lie, take that back. I had like 2 DMs before, 2 or 3. And one of the people that hit me was someone that he would even show me the message was trying to talk to him. It was a situation like she hit me, oh, your man's trying to talk to me. But then when I saw the actual messages, she threw his number out. She was trying to mess with him. And it was hey, I have a girl. Oh, you not married. It was those type of situations. So I would always take everything like that. You know what I mean? So I never really had a situation to where it made me think like this man's really doing it. Now, like I just said 10 times, when we're 19 or 20, I don't put nothing past nobody. Even if he supposedly was telling the truth. If I heard that he was doing something, I just like, look, I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to do it. I ain't got time for it. You're older than me. You're in a rap group. I get it. I ain't got time for it. So that would be the break. We try to figure out the break. And that's just what I chose to do. But also making the decision moving forward, I'm older. I'm an adult. We're mature. He has kids at this point, three of them at the time. So it's like, let's figure this out, if that makes sense. So,
So, what did you do with your? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I want you to correct me.
mhm.
What do you
Oh, I
do
will.
with the if this is right? What do you do with the suspicion that you may have had with no proof? Where does that go?
For me, because I promise you, it's not like trying to have an scapegoat of
No, no, I don't think
not.
you have an escape,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
not
yeah,
down
yeah.
for this either. By the way, this is not
Right.
what we're saying.
I
Yeah,
just got a lot. I'm a busy person, man. I work 8 to 5. I
yeah,
give back. I have camps every summer. I am in marketing when it comes to marketing some professional athletes, WNBA, NFL players. My phone constantly buzzing, and kind of you saw a snippet of it, but that was his issue with me. That I have so many male friends, and that I'm always busy, and that I'm always doing this and whatever. I like to make money. I like to live a certain
come on
way,
now.
and I like to live a certain way. I don't like to depend on nobody. So I move how I move, and I have my reasons to move and how I move. Even when me and Darian were broken up at one point, I was like,
Yep.
uh oh,
Oh, you're there.
can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. Can you see us? I can see you. Can you see me? Oh, we can't hear you. Go. We can't hear you. You've muted. Wait. Oh, I think we're having a little bit of a technicality here, and the conversation was just getting into a very interesting place. I think she'll join back up in a second, guys, as well. Man, this has been a really interesting conversation. It's more interesting than I actually thought it'd be. So, yeah, we've got Alexia trying to join back again in a second or two. So we'll get her back on the show. Um, okay, let's get her back. Alexia, you there? I think the thing is a little bit fraz, mate. The thing's a little bit fraz. We've lost you for a few seconds, mate. You might want to put your phone on charge and then come back on. Just because I think we can't see you at the
Okay,
moment.
can you
Oh
hear
yeah, we
me?
can hear you. Oh, we can hear you. We can see you. Well, fantastic. You've
Oh,
come
you
back.
don't even want to know who that was.
Hey, don't tell me that was Big Dog. Okay, so the brother is still calling. Okay, tell him to call me. Um, sorry, we were just saying about suspicions. Yeah, I know he calls all the time. Listen, sis, we don't have to put his calls on blast. Put it on block. But yeah, so as we're saying, we're talking about suspicions, right? And it being strong, and you being busy. So it's there's a question I want to ask
It's
you.
not an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's just what
No, no,
it
no.
is. Okay.
I don't think it's an excuse. None of what you've given us is an excuse. It's what is your truth. So I never call it as an excuse, right? I want to ask this question to you, Alexia. What makes you so trusting? What have you experienced that makes you so trusting?
Let me tell you, that is my downfall. My whole life, just being honest, like I overtrust people. Not even just in relationships, friendships. When I share a side to me that a lot of people don't see, um, I've been done wrong by a lot of people, and I have a trusting. I don't understand it about myself. I think it's something my dad instilled in me. I always try to see the good in people. I've put myself in situations to look out for people before, and they've done me dirty. So um, this was just another one. I mean, even with Darian, he'll tell you he's seen people do stuff to me that were friends, and that's why when he did this to me, it hit different. It hit different because he's seen me in situations where I put myself out, looking out for people. I'm always the one that's looking out for everybody and wants everybody to come, looking out for the team. But what I did learn from this experience, just being honest, I learned not to trust so many people so much. I have a situation with myself to where people might think I'm snappy, but my tolerance for people is like short. I don't have time to deliberate or to tolerate someone that I feel like is giving me bad intentions, or it's just not, has good intentions. So, and it could be a downfall, it could be, a bad thing, but because of what happened to me on the show, like I'm telling you, my eyes are open to everyone,
Mm,
friends, family, relationships, whatever. Like I don't have time. I get aggravated a lot, but I'm also starting to find myself as a person. Like I try
mm,
not to trust everyone, and anybody that knows me, even as a friend, they're like, one of my good friends, one of my close friends, Stevie Bags. You probably see him on my page all the time. People swear we together, but he always tells me, stop trusting people so much. Even the girls on the show, even the guys, LaRonda, Jessica, Eric, Sean, stop trusting everybody so much. Like, and I just met these people, but I promise you, even just meeting them, I trust them more than I trust a lot of people because I just do. I don't know why. I feel like this show we all connected with each other a certain way. We formed a bond. Even with a lot of the producers, like I trust them. Then a lot of people that I've known my whole life. You got to understand that of all the people I've known the whole my life, Darren is probably the longest, and for him to do this to me, that'll show me that anybody would do something to me.
mm,
So I move with this different intentions now. Like it might sound crazy, but first thing when I meet somebody, I'm like, "What's your intentions with me? Let
mm,
me just know right now, so I don't waste my time. Whether it's a friend, whether it's someone, a guy, whether it's whoever. What is your intentions with Alexia? What you got? Like, what you want from me? Or don't I don't have time. Like, I would rather be by myself than to tolerate some BS at this point in my life. I don't have time for it, and I think I'm over the giving people the benefit of the doubt because every time I've given someone the benefit of the doubt, it's done nothing but hurt me. So I think once again, that's just the nature, the person I am. That's how my parents raised me. I would give my last dollar to the person, to anybody. I've done it before. I give back to my people. Like it's tough, but it is what it is. And I'm glad God made me this way because He only puts you through things that He can see you get out of or to show you something. So might have took a
mm.
long time, but it happened. So
I get that. I appreciate that. That's the true Libra stuff. I don't really do that stuff, but it is part of the Libra kind of stuff. Okay, so
yeah.
there's something that was really interesting that I was drawing from earlier. What I was hearing you say, and you've said it quite a few times in different ways, but it almost sounds as if you've always been in situations where you're trying to prove yourself. Would that be a correct statement?
Mm, no, prove
Okay.
myself as far as what I was talking about in sports, not in my
Mm,
life. I never have to try to pull. Like I've always had my stuff together, or I've always been in a position to help people. So when I say I don't never try to prove friendships, but if you fool with Lex, you family to me. There's not too many people that can say like if they go to jail, who's gonna get them out? Everybody will probably raise their hand when it comes to Lex. And I say that to say friends or whatever. Like if you're a friend to me, if I consider you a friend, I mean that through and through. If you what your problems is my problems. Like you need somebody to talk to, call me. I might not want to hear it all the time, but I know you probably don't want to hear my problems too. But if you got the time to listen, I got the time to listen too. So I treat friendships just like that. And I learned that from playing on a basketball team, playing with no more than 12 to 13 people. If you my teammate, we family. You go through something, we go through it as a team. And I get that from sports. And maybe that's why I gravitated towards basketball more than track. Track is more of an individual sport. I was always team, 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 so
You put others first. Do you think you learned that from your parents, your family environment? Have you had to put others first in the
yeah,
family?
I think that I learned that from my parents. They always put everybody first before them. I would see my mom do stuff for people and my dad, and I get it from my family. Yep.
Okay. Okay. My final few questions. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about uh, the situation with Kai, because it was quite intense on the show, and I do
Hmm.
appreciate you sharing your heart with us. By the way, as well. Like, I'm not here to try and bash you or anything, nothing like that. Just want to try and get your truth out.
Right.
The situation with Kai, I think a lot of us felt like you almost got locked. I know you kind of say that it's not about Kai, but it felt like it
Hmm.
became locked in for you about Kai. So even though Darwin was the one
Hmm.
that should be getting all the hits, it felt like everything was guided towards Kai. Would that be a correct statement to
That's
make, or was it different for
inaccurate.
you? Okay, go for it.
It's inaccurate. But I'm gonna ask you a question. Why would you say that?
Because of what we saw on the screens.
Which Tom?
I
Let's
think
break it down.
just during the course of the show. I just think during the course of the show,
But
um,
I never made it about Kai. I
okay.
never even brought her name up. It would be him. We would be in a come on, think about it. I walked off and he kept saying, "What's your problem with this girl?" I didn't even bring her up. What do you mean? It doesn't matter. First of all, Kai is not an issue for me at all. If it wasn't Kai he was gonna sleep with, it would have been somebody else. The issue for me is the disrespect. Okay. The issue for me is even though we all know what we signed up for, this is not ready to love. This is not you're signing up to go openly just date and fall in love. This was a situation that three couples are in a relationship, and it's really about the couples to decide if they're going to put a ring on it or go their separate ways. Not if they're going to put a ring on it and go with the other person. It was about if you're going to put a ring on it and go your separate ways, if it works out, if it does, if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I think that's where the misconception is and the wires are crossed because some people took it. I feel like some people took it as a competition. I can see that. I feel like some people took it as I can have him. I can have him over this person. But for me, nobody can compare to what I've been through over the last 14 years, on and off, the highs, the lows, the everything. Like it's not even a comparison, So I get upset sometimes when I see people like, oh, he did her how he did her, or is doing her how he's doing, whatever. No, because nobody had to. She don't. Me and him live together. Me and him, no family. He knows my family. I know his family. Like we've been invested for a while, mentally, emotionally, and financially. So for me, it's different. Everything is different. There's no comparison. Now, it's not to say that feelings aren't real with other people. I've never said that, but also understand what you signed up for too. I don't think that I personally, if the roles were reversed, would have been the person to come on this type of show to date other men. Just me in particular, I wouldn't. Now I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I just I would already be feeling like, man, I ain't about to take this person from this person because at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with the daters. That's temptation. It has everything to do with the couples. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So take her out the window. If it wasn't her, it was someone else. And I try to really get that across. It was never about her. But I just don't like, when people aren't accountable for themselves as well. All my intention is 98% Darren, and I say this all the time. 98% Darren is my problem. 2% is the other person. You know, if you want to make it about you, that is you. I don't make it about, I don't, I hope she's watching. I don't have an issue with you. I really don't. You know, I don't have an issue with you. I can understand where, obviously there was some misleading. um, totally understand that. And I feel for her and whoever else was misled. But understand that me personally, Alexia Adams, I didn't sign up to get embarrassed on national television. You know what I'm saying? I didn't do that. That wasn't my intention. Everything that's coming out or stuff that's being said, and this is the first time I'm hearing it too. So understand, like, have some compassion because this is real life for me. You know, I don't want nobody to feel sorry for me. I'm most certainly glad that I went through this process. I met some dope ass friends, dope ass friends, and I trust them with a lot of things. And it just is what it is. And as an adult, I can understand it is what it is. Now, just to be 100% frank with you, throwing salt on someone's name doesn't give me no flavor. I'm not going to bash nobody, not even him, because I know what I know. But at the same time, I'm going to defend myself, you know? And I want people to understand this as well. I'm very passionate. Call it aggressive, call it what, that's fine. I got it from basketball. I got it from sports. But I'm passionate because I feel how I feel, and nobody can't take away how I feel because I was the one who had to deal with this, you know? Yes, Darian calls me. Do I accept his calls? At first, absolutely not. But we've known each other since we were kids. If this man calls me to give me an apology, I'm going to listen. I don't have to, try to understand where he was coming from. I appreciate the apology. Thank you. But it is what it is, and that's just what it is.
So, just as you just touched on that last part there, I guess the audience will be asking, and I'd be asking too, why is he not blocked?
He was at some point. There were some things we had to discuss when it comes to, things that we had to deal with. And then, just to be honest, family members got involved and people got involved, and I hear them out. I don't have no ill intent for him. I wish him the best in life. Do you know
But
our
how does
status
that
right
help
now?
you?
No, it's nobody's business.
But wait, how does that help Lex? Because I feel like what's happening is exactly what you said. It's always happened to you. You're putting others first.
No, no,
How
no,
does
no,
that
no.
help
This is
you?
different because one thing they say about in the Bible, a sin is a sin.
Of course.
And regardless, you have to learn to accept forgiveness. Now, do you have to tolerate it? You gotta deal with that. And when it comes to me and Darian, as far as what's going on with us, tune in. Tune in Friday. That's all I can say. If you want to know in detail, you have to tune in after the reunion because
No,
I'm only
no.
allowed to say so much.
Yeah, yeah. We don't want it in detail. I'm saying, but
No. I'm making
you know what I mean?
it
Yeah,
doesn't help me. It doesn't
yeah.
help me at all. But I'm a human being. If he wants to apologize, I'll listen.
But he's
You
already
know,
apologized on the show. He's already
no,
apologized.
right?
We wiped his
And there
tear.
were other things that happened.
He's
Right?
got to
Hold on.
go.
There were other things that happened too, and you got to understand this too. That even though we were doing the show, you got to remember stuff. And this is just show stuff, but
Yeah, of
stuff had already been filmed.
course.
So when it comes to the meetup and everything, but we still had to interact with each other. We were still filming the show.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. This is a question you don't have to answer it. Were you supporting him financially?
Throwing salt on anybody's lane doesn't
That's
give
not
me no
salt.
flavor. So
That's not salt. We're
that's throwing
asking.
salt.
It's only salt because it's a man. It wouldn't really be salt. It's just whether you pay to support him
Listen, I'm
financially.
gonna just say this. I'm gonna just say this. He a grown man. He got his own bills. He got his own bills. So take what you want out of that. Keep it moving.
Okay.
Does anybody support Alexia? No. I financially support myself, and that's all that matters.
No worries. I hear that. Okay. Final question. What did you learn from this whole experience? What did Lex learn from this whole experience?
I feel like I from this whole experience just learned, like I said, to put myself first. Um, and just moving forward, with relationships, with people. Um, I don't have anybody that comes in contact with me. They should know I have this much tolerance for negativity. If it ain't positive, I don't want to hear about it. If it's something that I feel like is wrong, I'm going to vocally say something. You don't have to like it, but at the same time, you don't have to deal with me. So it is what it is. I just want genuine people around me, and I want people to have my best interest. And I don't care if that's two people. I would take that as a saying I get from people. I would rather have 10 lions than 100 sheep, and that's real. Like I would rather have 10 genuine people, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, than 100 people around me just being around me just to be around me, or just to want to tell me what I want to hear, or just to want to do this. I'm not with that. So at the end of the day, that's how I move. That's how I move in my life. It is what it is, and I'm gonna keep saying that. But if you want to get to know the real Lex, like the show is not gonna show you everything of what I like to do, what I like to. I'm a business person. I don't even really talk about my main job on the show. I only talk about me working for the Hawks, and that's player development. I train a lot of professional athletes too, um, and I don't even get in detail in that. But I'm very well off, and like I said a million times to anybody, that's not understanding or not, they don't know me. Nobody can really say they went through what I had to go through. I had a whole different journey, and everything happens for a reason, and that is. And then also, I want to touch on when people say she's naive, she's delusional. Understand, I can't speak about things either. Like, I'm not naive. I'm just not allowed to talk about certain things, and I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I can't. So call it what you want, but just for anybody that is watching this or knows, when y'all watch the show is when I watch the show. And I want people to really let that resonate with them. Things that y'all see on those dates, just like all of us couples or, whatever, that's when we see them for the first time too, girls and guys. So that's what it is. But y'all got to tune in Friday because maybe y'all get all y'all answers and, all your questions answered. So,
Well, we'll be going live Friday, so.
Who's going live?
Huh? Well,
What do you mean?
myself and Kai will be going live. So after the show, second
Oh,
interview.
I'll be
Yes.
live after the show.
Oh, you'll be live too.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, maybe we might even get you to join. You know what I mean?
No thanks.
No thanks. Okay, it's no worries at all. I understand. Well, listen, Lex, it's been an absolute pleasure. Like I said, I do appreciate you sharing your truth. This can't have been easy. I want to, want you to know.
No. Trust me, it was cool.
You sure?
Lex is good.
Is it
Team
good?
Lex is good over here. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, no, we know you were good. You know what I mean? But we appreciate the fact that you were able to be bold and courageous to share your story. So, we wish you the best. You know what I'm saying? All the success, and I wish the block button on your phone. Okay. If you don't do it, I will inform Apple themselves, and I'll have it blocked personally. But we appreciate your honesty, man. Do you know what I mean? So, thank you so much, and keep looking beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No worries. Oh wait, do you have any business that you want to
Bye.
promote? Anything like that?
Yeah, sure. Detox juice. If y'all don't already know, you can find it
Juice.
on Alexia Drink the Shrink on Instagram. Weight loss detox. Comes with a meal plan as well. Also, shirts. You might want to get it before Friday. I only got a few left. Team Lex shirts. You go to my page. You know where to find it. Instagram, Alexia Adams 24. Tune in.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Oh, and I gotta shout out my Golden State, my Albany State Golden Rams in the building. People are confusing the ASU because I said I went to ASU, so they put in Arizona. People write what they want. Albany State University, the unsinkable. So the Benny.
We appreciate that. You appreciate it. Your team came out strong, man. We had 1,900 of you guys come out, so record breaking. We appreciate you guys for doing so, and we will hopefully see you again soon, Alexia, man. Do you know what I mean? We appreciate you.
All righty.
All right. All these members. Bye bye. Let me get my own.
Bye.
You know what time it is.